Police in Ohio searching for a suspect who they say killed a dentist and his wife in their home have their biggest clue yet. I want you to get a good look at this video just put out by police in Columbus. They are calling this a person of interest in the murders of Spencer and Monique Tepe. This couple was found shot dead inside their home 1 week ago. Their young children were also inside the house, but they are okay. I'll tell you what Spencer and Monique's family is now saying about who might have wanted to harm this couple. We're on the case presented by Law&Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. Hey, real quick, before we start this episode of On the Case, one of the most watched shows on YouTube, I want to talk about our partner and sponsor, Morgan & Morgan, America's largest personal injury law firm. They have more than 1,000 attorneys who have recovered $25 billion for more than 500,000 clients. And in the past few months alone, a client in Florida received $12 million when insurance offered just $350,000. In Pennsylvania, another client was awarded $26 million, 40 times the insurer's offer. Morgan & Morgan makes it easy to fight for what you deserve. You can even start a claim from your phone. So if you've been injured, you can start a claim at forthepeople.com/OTC. You can click the link below or scan the QR code on your screen. So I looked up the forecast for the morning of December 30th in Columbus, Ohio. That is the morning that police say Spencer and Monique Tepe were murdered. The weather between 2 and 5 o'clock in the morning was in the 20s. Now, think about just how cold that is, and it makes you wonder when you watch this video that was just released by police in Columbus, what is someone doing walking through an alleyway alone in the middle of the night between 2 and 5 o'clock in the morning as the temperature is roughly in the 20s? Now, this is newly released video that was put out by police in Columbus that they hope will help crack this case. They have said they don't know if this is the person who killed the Tepes, but they are considering this person a person of interest. And you can see that this person of interest has on a black coat, has a hood, gray pants, black shoes. It does appear to be a man, and they appear to be looking down. Unclear if that's to try and hide their face from surveillance cameras like this, but it's also somewhat of a distinctive walk, I think, when you watch this video. Perhaps the person is pigeon-toed. It's just an interesting posture that someone has as they're making this walk through an alleyway. Now, I want to show you this here because this is from Google Maps, and this is just a shot of where the Tepes lived from above. And you can just see kind of the layout of the home they had. It was like a duplex that was connected to other houses, and you can see that there's an alley behind their home, and it appears that this is the alley that the person is walking through. The Tepes also had a detached garage. So it seems like this was the alleyway you drive down to then park your car inside. Now, police have said that there's no sign of forced entry into their home on the morning that they were killed. It is unclear at this point whether they believe the suspect went in through the back door or the front door. Maybe they went through a window. We have seen just from watching some of the video from local news stories that show the house that there appears to be a Ring doorbell camera on the front door of the Tepes' home. Unclear if that caught anything. The Columbus Dispatch has also said that there's a police camera positioned near the Tepes' house, but at this point it's unclear whether that camera caught anything or whether it was even operational on the night that the Tepes were killed. Now, before I get into how Spencer and Monique's family are reacting to this newly released video, I want to get you caught up to speed on what we know to this point. So here is Spencer and Monique Tepe. This is actually their wedding video from 2021. And it appears that part of this video, at least, was shot at the home where this couple was found dead on December 30th. The couple had 2 kids, ages 4 and 1 years old. Just absolutely breaks your heart. And if there is any good news in a story like this, it's that those kids are okay physically. The couple also had a golden doodle dog. That dog was unharmed as well. All the children and the dog, they're now with family members. Now, Spencer was a dentist in Athens, Ohio, and that's a pretty good commute because that's roughly 75 miles away from Columbus, so he had quite a drive. His biography on his dental office website says that he graduated from Ohio State in 2017, and he had a degree in dental surgery, and he loved his job. Outside of work, he was a big fan of the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Cincinnati Bengals. He grew up near Cincinnati, and he also loved to play golf, travel, but he also loved spending time with his family. And when we talk about his family, we're talking about Monique Tepe, who also went to Ohio State. She was an avid baker. She was a mom. The Columbus Dispatch does say that Spencer was her second marriage. She married a fellow OSU student in 2015, but then they divorced in 2017. They didn't have children. The newspaper says that the divorce appears to have been settled amicably. Now, Spencer and Monique were coming up on their 5-year wedding anniversary. They were married on January 30th, 2021 in Columbus. And this wedding video was shot by a family member who we spoke with, who gave us permission to use it. And I think just when you watch this, it just tells you a lot about this couple, that they were loved, that they loved each other. And it just continues to raise that question that we're all trying to find the answer to right now, which is who would want to harm this couple who also had 2 young children and seemed to be living very good lives. In fact, Spencer used to be a member of the Big Brothers program in Ohio, that he was helping other people. It's just in some ways such a mystery and such a tragedy. But let's dive into what we know about what happened on December 30th, because this is the day that the Tepes lost their lives. And we have the 911 calls that were made by friends and worried coworkers that morning. Listen to this.
Columbus Police, check 107.
I would like to ask for a wellness check on an individual at their home.
So police first received a call from Dr. Tepe's dental office when Spencer didn't show up for work that morning.
This individual, Spencer, works with me, and he did not show up to work this morning, and we cannot get a hold of him or his family.
He didn't show up to work?
Correct.
Okay. Do they have medical problems or?
No, and he's been reliable, and we cannot get in touch with him, his wife, his family, anybody that lives in that house.
Okay. Uh,
His 2 kids in home. I'm in Florida, own the business. I was informed by my employee that he was not at work, and he runs the office.
So the call was made around 9 o'clock in the morning. It's Spencer's boss who says he's on vacation in Florida, but he was getting phone calls from concerned coworkers because Dr. Tepe didn't show up.
Have you guys received anything else, like calls about him or like a car accident or anything like that?
no, sometimes people just don't show up to work. I mean, maybe sick, I don't know.
Now, as much as the dispatcher says it's common for people not to show up at work, you can tell that Spencer's boss is really concerned because he says Spencer loves the office and not showing up is just something he wouldn't do.
I just know that he is the most, like, he is always on time, and he would contact us if there is any issues whatsoever. And he I just don't know how else to say this. Like, we're very, very concerned because this is very out of character, and we can't get in touch with his wife, which is probably the more concerning thing.
So about 20 minutes after that, it's 9:22. That is when a police officer went to the Tepe's house, but no one answered the door to the couple's home, so the officer left. Concerned friends then start calling police about the Tepes. They actually went to the couple's house, and they said that they heard the children inside the home. This was around 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, what's the emergency there? Please for medical.
Maybe both, I guess. I don't know. I'm doing the
We
work.
had a call out there. They knocked on the front door and back door multiple times and there was no answer.
Yeah, no answer. I can hear kids inside, and I swear I think I heard one yell, but we can't get in. At this point, I don't know if I need to break the door in or just get in the house or what.
Wait, were you out there when the police is out there?
I wasn't. I just got here about 5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll send them back out to you.
So then another call comes in from Spencer's work.
Our boss did not report for work. We haven't been able to get a hold of him for 3 hours. We are on site and we can hear.
Okay, I talked to somebody there.
Okay, I'm just making sure somebody called.
So 5 minutes later, another phone call happens. And this is where this story that is about friends and coworkers concerned about a couple that aren't answering their phones, a dentist that didn't show up for work, a wife that's unclear where she is. This story changes dramatically and in the way that nobody wanted.
Our friend wasn't answering his phone. We just did a wellness check. We just came here, and he appears dead. There's blood. He's laying next to his bed, off of his bed in this blood. I can't get closer to see more than that.
Okay. Hell, he's up to not breathing or anything. Is it like kind of like
Okay. All right. I understand. And what was the last time somebody
Like yesterday, I suppose. How old is he? 37.
there was some okay. Do you like a drug user or anything like that? No. No. Okay. All right. Just that's a really young age.
Yeah, I rent it there.
All right. We're on our way.
So the concerned friend saw Spencer's body inside the home.
Car thing. They can hear kids inside. Thought he heard one of them yelling. Now we're getting another call saying there's a body inside. Best receiving copy.
Okay.
And then here's dispatch that we found of police putting the call out for more units to get to the Tepe's house.
Somebody calling CFP that he's laying next to the bed and there's blood laying next to him.
And when police went inside the home, they found Spencer Tepe dead, as well as his wife, Monique. WSYX-TV says Dr. Tepe was shot multiple times and Monique had at least one gunshot wound to the chest. Police do not have a murder weapon at this point, and they have said that they don't believe this to be a murder-suicide. Police reportedly recovered 9mm shell casings from the scene as well. Now, authorities in Ohio seem to have confirmed that it was gunshot wounds that caused the death of Spencer Tepe and Monique Tepe. Both of them dying of gunshot wounds, but the final autopsies are not completed, and police are still waiting on toxicology tests to come back. This is according to some new reporting that has come in through local media outlets. Now, let's get to one of the big new pieces of information that we are following from police. Now, let's go back to the video of this person of interest, because that factors into a narrowed timeline that police have narrowed significantly over the past couple of days. On January 2nd, police posted that they were looking for any video that someone may have in the area of the Tepe's house from midnight to 9 a.m. on December 30th. Remember, 9 a.m. was when that first 911 call came in from Spencer Tepe's boss, who was concerned that Spencer wasn't showing up for work. Then, a couple days later, police narrowed the timeline even more, between 2 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the morning. And that is where we see this new video of that person of interest in the area of the Tepe's house in between those couple of hours. Now, again, you watch this video and it's not the most unique walk you've probably ever seen, but there are definitely, I think, some characteristics that you can take away from this person's posture and their gait and just the way that they're walking. So hopefully this is something that will jog someone's memory when they see this video, as well as maybe the fact of the gray pants, the jacket. I know it's grainy video, but anything at this point could help crack this case. Now, Rob Misla is married to Spencer's sister, and he spoke with Ashley Banfield on News Nation. Here is his response to the video of that person of interest.
When I first saw it, yeah, I do think, suspicious looking person there. It also very well could be, somebody walking home drunk from a bar.
According to Rob, Spencer and Monique, they were incredibly well-liked people. I mean, you think of this couple, even people who didn't know them personally are now just so confused as to why someone would want to harm them. Rob said the couple did not have any enemies that he knows of, that there's no one that comes to mind that would want to harm them. He also said this about whether he thinks the Tepe's children may have witnessed any of the horror that happened to their parents inside the house.
As far as I know, I don't think that they were. I don't think that they saw what happened, or at least I want to believe that with my heart. So
he said the children seem unaware of the reality of what happened in their home and to their parents. He also said that they are in the loving hands of family. The family has launched a GoFundMe page. It is getting a lot of money right now, and as of Tuesday morning, it's at roughly $160,000 donated. The family also released a statement as this investigation has continued. I want to read that for you here real quick. Quote, "Our family is devastated by the tragic and senseless loss of Spencer and Monique. They were extraordinary people whose lives were filled with love, joy, and deep connection to others. Spencer was a devoted and proud father, a loving partner, and a friend to everyone he met. He was intelligent, warm, and endlessly welcoming. A graduate of The Ohio State University and a member of the American Dental Association, Spencer was fluent in Spanish and deeply committed to serving others. He gave back through Big Brothers Big Sisters, a huge Bengals and Buckeyes fan, and lived life with energy, laughter, and generosity. Monique was a loving, patient, and joyful mother whose warmth defined her. With a background in childhood education, she brought care and intention into everything she did. She was an excellent baker, a thoughtful planner, and someone who found joy in bringing people together. Her kindness made people feel instantly at home. Together, Spencer and Monique shared a beautiful, strong, and deeply happy relationship. They loved to travel, to laugh, and to build a life rooted in love. They were proud parents to two beautiful children and their beloved golden doodle, and they created a home filled with warmth, happiness, and connection. We are heartbroken beyond words. While no outcome can ever undo this loss, our family is committed to seeing this tragedy fully and fairly brought to justice and to honoring Spencer and Monique by protecting the future of the children they love so deeply. Joining us now to talk more about this case is retired Detective Commander with the Chicago Police Department, Will Svilar. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to be with us here on Law and Crime. What do you see when you look at that video that was released by police in Columbus?
Well, it shows something. It shows somebody walking in an alley at apparently between the hours of 2 and 5, because I think they narrowed their timeline down to 2 and 5 a.m. where they think the crime happened. So it shows something. And what that will get me doing as an investigator is starting to dump cell phone towers around that area, looking for any numbers that are hitting in that time period. Now, you're going to find a lot of people living there. Their numbers are going to hit off the cell phone towers, but you're going to see those repeat on these towers. Maybe you're going to get lucky and you're going to see a number that doesn't belong there, or a number that doesn't hit there very often. But I'd start dumping cell phone towers in the direction right by their house and the direction he's moving.
And you look at that video, and I would say it's not the most unique walk I've ever seen, but it's kind of, he's looking down. Is there anything just from like body language standpoint that you can take away as an investigator from that?
Well, it doesn't seem like there's any, sense of urgency in his step. It just seems like he's kind of rambling down the alley, not in a hurry to go to or from anywhere.
Because you look at it, it's very much like, that video came out last night and we're like, here we go. You're like, here's something, because it's been a week since this couple was found dead in their home. What do you make of the fact that it appears to this point, the only video that police have put out?
Well, it's not surprising to me. Actually, it is a little surprising to me that that's the only video that they have. But that doesn't mean it's the only video they put out. It doesn't mean it's the only video they have. All right. I mean, it could be, and it'd be really odd if, look at all, in this day and age with all the Ring cameras, and I think there's a police camera on the corner where they live, that's it. That's all they can find between the hours of midnight and 9 o'clock in the morning. That's all you can find is one person walking through an alley in the middle of the night. I got to believe there's more.
I do too, just because looking at their homes, it looks like some new builds that were put in, those, kind of like nice duplexes that you see in cities these days. And like this one was a Nest camera, which is kind of one of those new like Ring doorbell, those type of companies where like you would think in that part of town where there's a lot of those new build homes that there are those type of, those kind of cameras that are in the area. The fact that there was no forced entry, according to police, because like one thing that I've come back to a couple times is how apparently Spencer Tepe's body was found in a bedroom. Publicly, it hasn't been stated when Monique's body was found in the house. He was shot reportedly more times than she was. And this happens in the middle of the night and no forced entry, but you have at least one body in the bedroom. Like, what do you make sense of kind of those details that they've come together?
No forced entry is a big thing. I mean, people lock their doors at night. Here's another thing. There's a family dog.
Yes.
Does the dog get alerted and wake up the children? Why are the children unharmed? Is it over so fast that the deed is done and they get out the door before the kids wake up? Are they using a weapon that's suppressed? Is it possible that there's a suppressor on the weapon that makes it more silent? But the no forced entry, I've got a code entry to my door at my house. I was cleaning people have it, and my kids and my family have it. That's it. So if they have a code entry to the door and somebody has that code, who knows? I mean, it's just such the odds of being murdered in your own home by a complete stranger in the middle of the night with no forced entry and no sign of any kind of struggle therein it's really long odds. So there's got to be more in there.
And I know just from looking at some of the local news video where you see the front of the house and it appears a Ring doorbell on the front. Like you would think too that that means that there's a security system in the house, or in some ways where like you open the back door even that could set something off. We don't know if that's the case, and like plenty of people forget to set their alarms at night, and if he goes in the back door, maybe it's, a thing where they forgot to lock the back door that night. Maybe they don't because the garage is back there. I don't know. They were able to reportedly recover some 9mm shell casings. What can you get from that evidence at the scene?
Well, you're going to get a fingerprint from that evidence, basically. And I don't mean a fingerprint in the sense of the word, but anytime a hammer hits a primer, you're going to get a distinct print. Anytime an ejector hits a casing and ejects the casing out, it's just like a fingerprint. It's going to be to that weapon. It's going to be exclusive to that weapon. Okay, so you're going to get that. Now, if you put that into a database and that weapon has hit somewhere else, like there's a casing from another random shooting and it's in the database, you're going to be able to link the weapon or link those casings to the separate crime scenes. Now, in order to make that worth anything evidentiary, you have to have the weapon. If you have the weapon, you can do a direct comparison and you can determine what the murder weapon was.
For the report that came out that Spencer Tepe was shot more times than his wife, that he was shot multiple times, that she had at least one gunshot wound to the chest. How common in shootings does that actually mean something? That could have been someone saying, "I'm going to target this person," and then his wife is also here. Or is that something that could just be, just kind of the circumstance of what happened? How do you determine whether that actually means something?
I mean, it could just be the way it went down. And you can determine, you get more to determine this. Where is the body? Does it look like maybe he sees something happening, he starts to advance towards the person in the doorway of the bedroom, if that's where it happens? Is it he's shot and he falls out of the bed? You have to look at the scene. The scene's going to tell the story. Is the person advancing? Does he have to fire multiple times because that person's advancing? And is the poor wife just, asleep maybe when this happens?
Yeah, and I do come back to the dog, because that it's a golden doodle. I don't know a ton about dogs, but it seems like, that's like an element to it as far as like barking and a noise. But also you have these two children. One is 4, one is 1 years old. I don't know how much a 1-year-old you can get information from. I know that the brother-in-law of Spencer Tepe told News Nation he doesn't believe, just based off of the kids seemingly acting unaware to what happened, that they may not have witnessed anything. But how do you go about a 4-year-old and trying to see if they can give you any information about something that may have happened at night?
So what we do is it's called a victim-sensitive interview, a VSI. That 4-year-old is taken to a facility that specializes in talking to kids who experience trauma. Police can't do that. We can't do that. We don't have the tools to do that. So we use this VSI, and they break things down to the kids, and they talk to the kids on a level that they understand, and they try to draw the information out. And it's not an easy thing. It's not a pleasant thing. And these kids could have possibly saw nothing up until the point where they went in to try to maybe have breakfast or something. They couldn't find mom and dad.
Yeah, it's just such a terrible, terrible part of this story. The Columbus Dispatch has said that there was a police camera that was positioned somewhere in the neighborhood. It's unclear whether it was operational, but I mean, we know what a Ring doorbell camera, what that can show, the Nest camera, like in this case, what that can show. Some of these police cameras, and I know in a city like Chicago, there are police cameras. Like how good is the video that you can get, if that is actually on, that you can actually get from a camera like that?
The video is excellent. Now, there's different kinds of cameras. There's cameras that just scan back and forth, unmanned. There's cameras that are fixed, that are looking at a specific location. And we have podcast missions, or not podcasts, podcam missions, where someone will sit in an area where they suspect that there's a lot of violence, or we're showing a pattern of a lot of violence or a lot of activity, and they will scan it manually. They'll move it around and they'll look around, and that's called a podcam mission. Some are, unfortunately, and I had this in quite a few murders, I've got a podcam that's scanning, And as soon as the murder happens, it's facing the other way. And then when it comes back, you either see the person on the ground or someone running away. So it's a lot of times it's just it's a crapshoot whether or not that camera's going to be looking at anything if it's scanning.
Today marks, as we're recording this, 1 week since the Tepes were found dead on December 30th. I feel like I just continue to update like my social media to see if there's been an arrest, because you kind of hit that 1 week mark. You have in your career, I mean, you investigated and solved a lot of homicides. With this case, I guess to this point, like what does your gut tell you at this point about the investigation and what may have happened?
When you get this little information out, now again, we don't know what everything the police has, but when you get this little information out, it tells me one of two things. In our case, it was like, we don't know anything and we really need some help. Or we know something, but we don't want everybody to know what we know. In case of, we don't want to tip anything that, what if it's a close relation? We want everything to go normal and possibly give somebody just enough rope to hang themselves. So it's either they know nothing or they know more and they're just not releasing it.
How common just in your career were there cases where like you're a week out and you were just like, I have no idea like what where we're going with this investigation? I mean, how common is that? Because I think for a lot of us, we often believe like police got something going somewhere, especially at a 1 week mark. But like, what's the reality for a lot of police departments? This is just generally speaking, not even on this case, just, those times where you're a week out and you really start feeling the pressure of not knowing where to go with the investigation.
More often than you would hope. It happens more often than you would hope. There's some cases where by the time you walk into the office from the scene, it's cold. You exhaust everything you can do. You get evidence, and not to be too graphic, but these are a lot of dump jobs where a body's not, where the murder doesn't occur where you find the body. A lot of those go cold, and you have to you hope for a tip. You hope for something from forensics. You hope for something in the post that will help you. But in a case where a murder happens in someone's home, a week out, I got to believe there's something more going on than just a straight whodunit.
How long does it typically take? I'm sure that they have scanned that home for fingerprints and all sorts of evidence that could be used in trying to figure out who else came into the house that night. I mean, how long does it typically take to get those type of results back?
Prints are pretty quick. Prints come back pretty quick. If you get a good latent print, you bring it to an analyst, they read it, put it in a system, see if it pops up in APHIS. That's pretty quick. DNA takes a longer period of time. Fibers are going to take a longer period of time. Prints are quick. DNA takes a long time.
And then when it comes to, at this point, we haven't heard anything about whether something was taken from the house or things were, kind of run amok in the home as if someone like trashed the place. Nothing that we've heard from that as of yet. I guess, how do you typically figure out, just from a forensic standpoint, whether this was a targeted attack against people like the Tepes?
Well, you have to find out what's going on in the background. You have to find the backstory. You talk to people who know them. You have to talk to people who are familiar with what's going on in their lives. We don't know what's going on in the neighbor's house, right? Everything may look great, but we don't know. And the only way you can find out about that is you have to interview everybody that knows them. And unfortunately, you have to start looking at the financials and things along those natures. Prior relationships, it all has to come into it.
Typically, I mean, at this point, you're 1 week out from when this happened. I mean, how many people, in this case, I think too, like he was a dentist. You don't know if there was some sort of dispute related to the dental office. You don't know, her background. We know that she had a degree, I think, in early childhood education, but we don't know much about, her professional life. I guess how do you identify all the people that you need to talk to through that period of time and be able to actually whittle down, okay, this person's kind of information, this matters. And, this is just kind of someone who wants to be helpful and it is what it is.
Outside of the basic interviews where you're interviewing family members, coworkers, neighbors, you're doing all that stuff, you got to look into their social media. You got to look into their telephone records to see who they have conversations with. Who are they talking to right before this happens? Is this person a house guest? Is this person already in the house when this goes down? That could explain why you're not getting a big alert from the dog, or you're not getting an alert from the, there's no forced entry. So in addition to doing the interviews, which you have to do, you also have to dig a little deeper. You have to look, like I said, in the financials. You have to go into their social media. You have to look at their phones. not because you're trying to investigate them, but you're trying to figure out why this happened to them.
Yeah, and it's just you think of those young kids, what they may or may not have seen, but what they'll have to live with going forward, and then this family. You just hope that they can get justice and police have something going on, and that there will be justice eventually in this case. Retired Detective Commander Will Svilar with the Chicago Police Department. It's always great to have you at Law and Crime. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
My pleasure, Chris.
That will do it for On the Case, presented by Law and Crime. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify. I'm Chris Stewart. We'll see you next time.